Alright, hello guys, and today here we are with someone our skip video for Atomic Eta. So yeah, even though we didn't get any TV or stuff, we still got new SF being Atomic Eta, which is I guess a decent partner to Atomic Alpha. And of course, we have Atomic Mud here, but this isn't relevant. So back to the main actual worth it characters. And even as you saw there, the section here. They also rerun the Supreme Alpha, which is even better than Eta on this banner, so kinda crazy. Eta being the second best character on our own banner. But then again, of course, there's the permanent pool, but that's not relevant. So yeah, mostly getting into Eta's hit, and that's where the real stuff matters. After trying her out a bit, well, she doesn't feel that impressive, but she is still pretty good. Love what they did with the art at least. I guess her atomic animation is kind of cool, even though it feels also kind of weird at the same time. They just do try their hardest to make Eta units good, which I did make this one good. So here we have this main technique, which cancels shield effects, kind of useless. But we do have something called Nightmare here. The inflicts damage that ignores defense part is kind of irrelevant, but when 10 nightmares inflicted, you get permanent 70% debuff. When 25% is inflicted, you get 30% SP discount rate. And when 40 are inflicted, you get a permanent 70% raise down to see buff. So pretty much also cancel off of effects. That's it because it's permanent. The boss can't cancel it when they fall below a certain amount of HP, since that's what bosses nowadays usually do. And when awakened, you get more nightmare and inflict even more damage. Now we have this skill 1 here. Nightmare Shackles, inflicts 2 damage and paralysis, which I guess can be useful for PvP, especially if you awaken it. This lasts for 5 seconds, which is even longer than what Zeta and Delta Paralyze for, even when it's awakened. So maybe it could have a bit of use in PvP, since you're paralyzed for 3 seconds. But of course, Atomic Eta paralyzes for 5 seconds. And that could make a difference, just saying, but I'm not too sure. Now we have this Nightmare Burst skill. Raises speed of all eyes, which is decent, I guess. Then grants 2 Nightmare on single enemy and inflicts damage multiplied by total Nightmare on target. Which is kind of whatever, really. I mean, I won't lie, Eta doesn't really do a lot of damage after trying her out. So when awaken, you get more Nightmare, and well, the Nightmare part is very gimmicky, so you can get all those permanent debuffs and this SP discount rate. And if you're not familiar with what SP discount rate is, as it says you're going to get 20 to 25. The same thing here, the 7th member SF has, where she just raises this SP discount rate, and it reduces the amount of SP consumed when activating the hint technique. As you can see here, this is 50%, and it costs 1000 SP to activate the hint technique, which is this. So pretty much with the gear, it essentially means that you only use 500 SP to activate the hint technique, which means that if you pair it with other characters that can recover SP, like Atomic Alpha herself, or other characters I'll get into later, and then yeah, you can use hint technique a lot. Well, as long as they just don't implement the hint technique like what they did for the swimsuit event that was passed. I will say that does well. SP discount is probably the best thing that works with Atomic Alpha here, especially like she can recover her own SP here and grant herself an SP boost straight whenever she gets 10 stacks of Supreme. So yeah. I have a special ability here, which inflicts nightmare on all enemies, and then each time enemy receives damage, like every 5 seconds, inflicts 2 nightmare or even 3 nightmare when awakened. So plus 1 nightmare. And I have a strike on inflicting nightmare enemy again. And I'll attack this is that. And I have a gear here, which signifies each time nightmare is inflicted by itself, raise damage received for by 10% for 60 seconds. So yeah, you can expect that the boss to have a lot of damage raised, damage received debuffs. Since you already have the 70%, If you manage to land all 40 here, and then of course, all that 40, which pretty much mean like what, 400% damage raised, unless the boss cancels the debuff, since this isn't permanent, so the boss can cancel it actually. But yeah, if it doesn't become cancelable, then it's a huge amount of damage raises damage received debuff on a single enemy, which is crazy. Your A1, A2 are good, right? And then the rest are kind of whatever. I mean, A5 goes well for the more nightmare stacks, but really, it's just best you stick to A1 or A2 if anything. So realistically, she is worth, but her synergy with Atomic Alpha here is kind of wank, at least for my testing and stuff, and that she doesn't really hit very hard. So yeah, she's not deep. She's not even a sub DPS even. She's not even at that level. She just exists to inflict tons of debuffs and grant you a speed and SP boost buffer. Now to the real treasure over here, Atomic Alpha getting her first rerun, which is a pretty fast rerun. Probably the fastest rerun ever, I have to say. But definitely worth getting her if you can. Realistically, I don't even know what to say. This one is just damn well worth getting. Of course, have her healing technique. And you can see her. She raises her own crit rate and damage inflicted, and inflicts 2 damage on all enemies, and inflicts paralysis on them as well. So I guess you could spam the paralysis between Eta and Alpha here, maybe keep the enemy at bay for some time. You have this 5-hit skill that also debuffs the enemy a lot. And of course, if you get under weakness, it goes up to 10 hit damage. So it's 3 damage there, like 3 big CP damage. With some other debuffs as well. And we have the Supreme Magic skill here, which is the core part of our kit. And it's worth the Awakening actually. Which raises your own attack and damage inflicted and grants Supreme on yourself. And Supreme grants her all these buffs. Raises her hidden technique damage inflicted by 10%, and then raises hidden technique damage submit and SP boost rate for certain amount of seconds. Hidden technique damage submit for 60 and SP boost rate is by 100. As you can see, your special ability raises your own damage inflicted and speed. And then each time buff is granted an ally, which herself does count as an ally, she grants Supreme and raises her own attack. So she only grants Supreme on herself every 5 seconds, so you gotta watch out for that. And of course, her strike and recovers her own SP, which works well with the SP boost rate you get from the Supreme here, and of course, the SP discount rate you're getting from Atomic Eta over here. So they do have some synergy, but for my testing, it doesn't really seem all that great. And of course, Atomic Alpha's gear, which is a must get, grants her 3 Supreme and debuffs the enemy, which is kind of whatever really. Yeah, Awakenings, A1. Well then, yeah, this is kind of good. And A2 definitely worth getting. Actually, kind of like all of our Awakenings are worth getting really. Meanwhile, for Eta, you just stop at like A2. And now I'm going to click on it, but I'm going forward, but yeah. Atomic Alpha, especially if Atomic Alpha A2, then she's the hardest hitting unit in the game. Since the amount of Supreme does stack up. So if you get like 20 stacks of Supreme, then that's 12 million in technique damage buffer, which can turn this into doing anywhere from between like what, 12, no, more like 13 to 14 million damage. And could even go up to 15 million if you have her A5 as well, which is the max awakening. Definitely worth getting, and pretty much Eta literally exists for alpha, so if you get Eta but no alpha, that's a weird position. But if you do get alpha, no Eta, that's fine. Alpha can still do well without Eta, especially since there's this rerun banner here, and it did also get some alpha another rerun banner, which I'll get into this rerun banner another time, but it does have some good teammates for alpha here, specifically being the ones I chose. And of course, I don't have a lot of them myself. But yeah, this New Year Victoria and Style Beta are definitely one of the best teammates for both Atomic Alpha and Atomic Eta. I think Aizawa Beta is a better teammate based on what I've seen from using them. Yeah, all now worth getting. Maybe you want to watch out for what the next debate could bring. But yeah, Eta is definitely worth something for. So yeah, that's about it now. See you in the next one. There.